Hey, how you doing? Today, it's Domino's. Got my sausage pizza here, and some of these new bacon cheddar loaded tots. Something new. Give it a try. But Domino's was always one of my favorite pizzas from way back. Yeah. I'll be stashing that for later. Okay. Yeah. Looks like tater tots, and they look loaded. That's good. Tastes like cheddar bacon. And of course, my beer. So I was thinking today about when I was first moving to Oceana, Virginia, and finding a place to live. I had rented an apartment there just for a couple of months before that. And it wasn't, the apartment was nice enough and everything, but I wasn't happy because it was like $600 or so a month. More than I wanted to pay. So, even though when I first got to the base there in Oceana, I got off-base housing, which means they added pay to my paycheck so that I would live off base rather than them supplying base housing. So I started going through the newspapers, looking for some other way to find some affordable housing. And I ran across the section of the newspaper for mobile homes for sale. Well, looking at some of these, and there was a lot of them. The area down there around the whole Virginia Beach area has a lot of transient people. Several military bases and everything else makes it so that a lot of the population is constantly moving. People in the military moving on the base, then back to another assignment somewhere else in another state or anything. So it's very transient. That makes for oftentimes a lot of good deals. So I saw a list of the newspaper. It was probably a column and a half long of the newspaper just of mobile homes for sale. So when you're talking about mobile homes, there's no real estate agent or nothing. These people would put the ads in the newspaper. They would put their phone number there. You would call them up and you would deal with them directly. And then you transfer the title to a mobile home just like you do an automobile. So you go to the DMV and you transfer the title just between the two of you. The one person just signs the title over to the other person. One thing that means is you're dealing in cash. You don't get a loan typically for a mobile home. You just buy it. So you give that person the cash. They sign the title to the mobile home over to you at the DMV, the Motor Vehicle Department. Those little loaded potatoes aren't bad. So then what I started doing was go to the newspaper. And of course, I was new to that area, so I had to locate the mobile home parks. So say there was like 4 or 5 of them within a radius where I wanted to drive, because you want to be close to work and the community and everything else. So I started to know which mobile home parks were like which ones were the really nicer ones, which ones were the not so nice ones, and like your favorite one. And I would target mobile homes that were for sale in those parks. And so those are the ones I would call. So I made up my mind, okay, from calling the people that had the ones for sale in those parks I liked, it didn't take me long to figure out, oh, okay, they're only paying like $100 a month for lot rent. And to me, that was a lot better than, $500 or $600 a month for an apartment. So that's what I did. Called enough of them up that I knew, oh yeah, this is a park that I really like. So I'm going to go look at the ones in the newspaper in that park. So I picked like a Saturday. I set them up. I called the people who owned them, set them up to say, I want to see this one at like 10 on a Saturday, then at like 11, 12, and schedule them all. And then I would go through them and look at them. Now, just like I said, you don't have a real estate agent. You also don't have a home inspector or anything like that. You're pretty much on your own. So when you go to look at these, walk around the whole outside, and then I'd knock on the door and meet the people, walk through the inside, and you're taking your foot and pushing on the floorboards and stuff, making sure everything feels nice and solid. A roof can be a real problem in a house or a mobile home. So I would always look for any signs of water spots, anything like that, because roof damage, it's going to also damage the walls and stuff. That's not something you want to get into. So it didn't take me too long, and I picked my favorite one that I like the most. Now, remembering that I said you have to pay cash for these things to person who owned it before. So the first one I got, I believe I bought for $4,000. Now, I had some money saved up from when I was at sea. I didn't spend much money when I was at sea. It was pretty much floating on the water. It wasn't something you spend money on. So, I had my $4,000 in cash, went to the DMV with the people. They knew I had seen it. We agreed on the price and signed the title over to me. Okay, great. Now, I own the place. Now, I don't have furniture. Okay. So, another thing with the transient population is, though, furniture and appliances were everywhere for sale. So I would pick up a refrigerator, washer and dryer stuff out of the newspaper. Somebody was just getting rid of it. Fine. Didn't take me long to realize I needed a truck. So, which is fine because I needed a vehicle anyway to drive back and forth to work. I was married at the time, and my wife had her car that she was living in Pennsylvania with. So she was using that, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to get a vehicle to drive back and forth to work. Might as well make it a truck because I'm going to need one, especially doing some of the rehab projects on the mobile home. So once again, there I was going right back to the newspaper looking for a decent used pickup truck. And I found an old, like 1968 Ford pickup truck. Huge body looking thing, like it was, compared to a new modern truck, it looked like a lot of metal, like an armored tank. It was huge. But the price was good, and I needed a truck. So I think I only paid like maybe $400 or $500 for that truck. Like I say, it worked great for going back and forth to work, but it also worked great for all the stuff I had to haul. Because like when you go buy a used washer and dryer, you need a truck. You have to have a truck to load it in the back of it and get it back to your place. So that went really well. So there I am, got my mobile home, got my truck, ready to go. Now I start rehabbing this mobile home. And one thing that it definitely needed was a shed, because you need a shed out in the yard there for storing all your stuff in. And this shed was bad. It was one of those old metal sheds, and it was rusted out, and the door didn't shut right on it or anything. So one weekend I loaded it into the back of the truck and took it to the dump. Then the next weekend, went and got a new shed at one of the hardware stores, it was still an aluminum shed. And it was just a small size, like 6x8 or something like that. But that's all I needed. It just had to look decent and have a functional door that I could store some stuff in. Those aluminum sheds, they come in a box and you just put them together. They have like one panel, you screw it together onto the next panel, go right around, and then put the roof on. You're good to go. So then I had my shed. That first mobile home that I got, it had water damage from leaking around the toilet area. So, and that's very common with mobile homes. But because I had done some construction stuff, I just bought a piece of plywood, pulled the toilet out, cut the piece of bad wood out of the floor, put the new piece of plywood in that I cut, and then reinstalled the toilet with a new wax seal. And in the process, I went to one of these hardware stores and picked up a remnant of linoleum and put new linoleum down. So that fixed the whole thing with one shot, because the linoleum was old and bad looking also. So I repaired the floor, put the new linoleum down, and reinstalled the toilet. Now, since I was so used to the whole newspaper thing and being able to find good deals, I had the newspaper delivered every day, which, most people did back then. So I kept looking for mobile homes for sale too, because I got the newspaper right there, and say I was looking for a sofa or something. Well, you're already at the classifieds. I would glance through the mobile homes for sale, and as soon as another one came up that was a really good deal, that was a little bit bigger and a little bit newer, because that first one I bought was 10 by 50. So it's 10 foot wide, 50 foot long. An older model, but that's the one I said that I bought for 4,000. So I started looking for a 12 foot wide by 60 foot long. And sure enough, eventually a couple of weeks to a month after I rehabbed the first one, I found a really good deal on a bigger one. So I went to look at it at one weekend, and I liked it. And the person was asking like maybe 5,000 or something like that. They had to move really soon, like within a week or whatever. They were going out of state. So I made them an offer on that one, and bought it. It was, like I said, it was quite a bit newer and bigger. So I decided I'm going to buy that one. Now, I already had the first one rehabbed, coated the roof, put the new shed in and everything, repaired the bathroom, and did a couple of other odds and ends, like light fixtures and stuff like that. Like I would put new lights over the dining room table and stuff, because a lot of them, especially if they were original, they look pretty shabby. Of course, went back to the DMV. I had some money saved up, I told you that, and bought that second mobile home. Then what I did was immediately moved all my stuff from the first one to the second one and listed the first one in the newspaper for sale. And like I say, I bought that first one for like 4,000, which was a good deal, even though it needed some work. But when I listed the first one for sale again, I listed it for $7,000 because I had already done the work to it, and I knew it was in really good shape. So, and I wasn't in a huge hurry. I could afford to take a couple of weeks to sell it. I had my new one that I moved into, good to go. And sure enough, within like 2 weeks, I sold that one for 7,000. Now that gave me some profit, so I'm starting to build up some profit to where I'm paying the second one almost off. Say I made 3,000 in profit. Well, if I only paid like 5,000 for that second one, that means I really paid 2,000 for it because I took the 3,000 profit from the first one. Now, during that time I was there for a year and a half or so. And I owned 3 or 4 of these mobile homes because I kept doing the same thing. I would always be looking in the newspaper. And once I rehabbed that second one, which it still needed some work. I mean, it wasn't like new or anything. It needed a shed, stuff like that. Some work on the... A lot of times you might need to put linoleum in the kitchen or something too. Well, you can go to these, the carpet and flooring chains, sort of. They're all over the place. And you could pick up these remnants. Well, a mobile home just simply isn't that big. And by the time you put the cabinets and stuff in your kitchen, you don't need a whole lot of square footage, in the center of your kitchen to do the linoleum. So I would buy these remnants and on a weekend, cut the old stuff out and put the new piece in. Once I had that second one rehabbed, I turned around and did the same thing again because I saw an even newer, bigger one that was for sale for a good price. Bought that one, moved into there, put the other one up for sale that I moved out of, and sold the other one. Now, by the time that I was on like the 4th one, I think there was a total of 4 that I had during that time frame when I was down there. And I paid $7,000 for that 4th one. And I really liked that one. That was a really good size, and it was a good year and everything. Now, remember, these are all single wides. They're all, I think the 4th one it wasn't 14 wide even. It was 12 by like 65 or something. But it was really good layout and stuff like that. And by the time I was ready to move out of that area, that last one I sold for like 11 or something when I moved out. And then I was done with Oceana after that year and a half, and then I sold that one and moved back to PA. But mobile homes definitely worked good because, like I said, rather than paying $500 or $600 for an apartment, I basically ended up living there for free, plus making some money. By the time I sold the last one and everything, that took care of that. So it worked out great. But that's about it for that pizza. Until the next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.